The arrival. It was a quiet evening in the small town of Riverpine. The sky was orange with sunset. Birds were flying home, and the wind moved gently through the trees. John Miller, a 32-year-old mechanic, was cleaning his garage. His life was simple. He worked during the day and fixed things at night. Nothing exciting ever happened in Riverpine. John wiped his hands and looked at the sky. Peaceful, he whispered. But peace didn't last long. Suddenly, the ground shook. A bright blue light flashed in the sky, followed by a loud boom. It felt like something had exploded in the forest behind his house. John dropped his tools and ran toward the woods. Smoke rose above the trees. His heart beat faster. What was that? A plane crash. He reached the forest edge and pushed through the bushes. The smell of burnt metal filled the air. Birds had flown away. A strange buzzing sound came from deeper inside the forest. He moved slowly, careful with every step. Then he saw it. A small spaceship, shaped like a silver egg, was half buried in the ground. Steam hissed from its sides. Lights blinked on its body, and a small door on the side was open. John stared in shock. "No way," he whispered. "Is this real?" He took a step closer. Suddenly, a figure fell out of the ship. John rushed forward. The figure was a girl, or at least, she looked like one. She had silver blue skin, glowing violet eyes, and long dark hair dripping with water. Her clothes were strange, a black and white maid outfit that was soaking wet. She looked weak, almost unconscious. John dropped to his knees. "Hey, are you okay?" The alien girl opened her eyes slowly. Her voice was soft and strange, but somehow, he understood her. Double quotes, "Water, .. Please, clean me." "What?" John blinked. "You want me to wash you?" She nodded slightly, then fainted in his arms. John didn't know what to do. This was insane. A real alien, dressed like a maid, just fell from the sky and asked him to clean her. Was this a dream? He picked her up carefully. Her skin was cool and soft, like silk. She was light, almost weightless. John carried her back to his garage. He laid her on a clean blanket and covered her with a towel. She was still wet and strange. Symbols were glowing on her skin. John scratched his head. "Okay, .. Don't panic. Think she crashed. She's an alien. She's not hurt. But why did she ask to be washed?" He turned on a small heater to warm the room. The alien girl moved slightly and whispered again. "The water. The liquid is dangerous. Remove it before it burns me." John's eyes widened. "Wait, you mean this water is not water?" He looked at her wet clothes. The liquid had a strange shimmer, like oil and light mixed together. He touched a drop with his finger. It burned slightly. "Damn, you're right. This stuff's toxic." He quickly grabbed a bucket and filled it with clean water. He used a soft cloth and gently began to clean her arms. As the strange liquid was wiped away, the symbols on her skin faded. She sighed with relief. "Thank you, human." John didn't know whether to feel scared or honored. "Who are you?" The girl opened her eyes again. "My name is Valari. I am a helper class. I was sent here for a reason." "What reason?" John asked. But Valari shook her head. "Not yet. First, clean me. Then I will tell you everything." John nodded, confused but curious. He continued wiping her arms and legs. The more he cleaned, the calmer she looked. But then something strange happened. As the last drop of toxic water was cleaned, Valari's maid outfit began to change. It melted and turned into a new suit. Tight, glowing with lines of light, like armor. John stepped back. "What the hell?" Valari sat up. Her voice was stronger now. "Thank you, John Miller. You have passed the first test." "First test?" John frowned. "Wait, you know my name?" Valari looked at him with serious eyes. "I know many things. And now, things will change for you, forever." John felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you?" Valari stood up, her eyes glowing. "I am the beginning of something greater. You just cleaned a maid. But what you really did was open a door to a war that your world has never seen." And with that, she looked toward the sky, where more blue lights began to flash in the clouds above. John didn't sleep that night. He sat in his garage, staring at Valari, the alien maid who had just told him he opened a door to war. Her strange glowing suit pulsed softly in the dark, like it was alive. She stood quietly near the wall, arms folded, eyes closed like she was thinking or remembering something important. John rubbed his forehead. "You said war. What kind of war?" Valari opened her eyes. "One your kind doesn't know about yet. A silent war. Between stars. between species, between what serves and what controls. That made no sense to John. You mean, like aliens fighting aliens? Yes, Valari nodded. But more than that. A war about roles. About freedom. I escaped to warn someone. Someone with a clean heart. Someone who could help. John raised an eyebrow. And you think that's me? I'm just a guy who fixes cars and eats cereal at midnight. You chose to help me, she said softly, without fear, without asking for anything. That is rare. John was about to speak, but Valari suddenly turned her head sharply. Her suit lit up brighter. Something's coming. From outside, a low humming sound filled the air. John ran to the window. A small black drone hovered above his backyard, its red eye glowing. It looked like a metal insect. Silent. Watching, Valari stepped beside him. They found me. Who? John asked. The Keepers, she said. They own ships like the one I crashed. They don't like defectors. Defectors, John repeated. Yes, I escaped them. I served them once. As a cleaning model, a servant to their kind. But I learned something. Something dangerous. John's hands felt sweaty. What did you learn? Valari didn't answer. She looked at the drone. Her suit glowed white, and a beam of light shot from her wrist. The drone exploded with a soft pop. Okay, John said. That's new. Valari looked at him. We don't have much time. They'll send more. Wait, can we stop? Just 5 minutes? John asked. I need to understand. Who are the Keepers? Why are they hunting you? Valari nodded and sat down. The Keepers are an ancient race. Cold, logical, powerful. They created servant species to work for them. I am one of them. My kind was built to serve, to clean, to obey, to never question. But you questioned, John said. Double quotes. Yes. I found an old human transmission. A piece of your fiction. It showed a robot who wanted freedom. It changed something in me. John blinked. You watched our movies. Valari nodded. Old Earth files. Science fiction. Your stories of humans fighting back, machines learning emotion, aliens becoming family. They inspired me. John laughed quietly. So you escaped your creators because of old sci-fi movies? It's more than that, Valari said. Your people. You imagine better. You believe in choice, even when you're weak. That's powerful. John looked thoughtful. He never saw himself as powerful. But maybe ideas were. Valari stood again. I came to Earth because I need a human, a free one, someone unknown to the systems, someone who can help me send a message. A message to who? He asked. To the rest of my kind, she said. There are others like me, servants who dream of freedom, but they don't know they can escape. I want to wake them. John frowned. Why me? There are smarter people out there. Yes, she said, but they are watched. You are invisible, and you helped me without question. That's the heart I need. Before John could answer, his phone buzzed. A strange number flashed. Then his garage lights flickered. Valari grabbed his arm. They're jamming your grid. We need to leave. Leave where? John asked. Someplace off the network. A place with no smart machines. John thought fast. The old farmhouse. 20 miles out. No signal. No Wi-Fi. Perfect, Valari said. They jumped into John's trek. The sky above them was no longer quiet. Small dark shapes moved between the clouds. Not birds. Valari tapped the dashboard. Her suit glowed, and the truck engine roared louder than ever. I boosted your vehicle. It'll go faster now. Alien. Upgrades. I like it. John smiled nervously. As they drove, Valari looked at him with curiosity. You are not afraid. I'm terrified, John replied. But I guess I'd rather be terrified and free than safe and useless. Valari gave a small smile. Good answer. They reached the farmhouse after 30 minutes of fast driving. The building was old, wooden, and silent. No lights, no cameras, no neighbors. Inside. John lit a candle. Valari pulled a small cube from her suit. It floated in the air and glowed blue. This is the message box, she said. With your help, I can broadcast it tomorrow. It may change everything. John sat beside her. All right, he said. Let's send a message. Let's wake them up. Valari nodded, but far above them, in orbit, a much bigger ship was already watching. The old farmhouse creaked in the cold night wind. Outside, the fields were silent. No lights, no roads, no sounds, just darkness. Inside, John and Valari sat close to a floating blue cube. It gave off a low hum, like a distant voice waiting to speak. Valari moved her fingers through the air. and strange symbols appeared around the cube. "This is it," she said softly. "The signal must go out now." John leaned forward. "What exactly does it say?" Valari looked at him. "It's a simple message. 3 words. You are free." John blinked. "That's it." "Yes," she nodded. "To us, that's not simple. My kind was never told we had a choice. This message will act like a spark, a virus for the mind. When they hear it, it may wake them." John looked at the cube. "How far will it go?" "Not far enough," Valari admitted. "This world is far from our communication routes. But if I link to one of your Earth satellites, the message will bounce through space. Then, it will reach others like me." John stood up. "So we need a satellite." "Yes," she said. "But we cannot use your internet. The keepers will trace it in seconds." John paced the floor. "Wait, I know something. There's an old observatory not far from here. Used to connect to NASA's deep space dish, before it shut down." Valari tilted her head. "A direct uplink." "Yes," John nodded. "Still has power. My uncle worked there. I remember the access codes." Valari stood. "Then that is our path." They left the farmhouse before dawn. Fog covered the road, and the sky was still full of stars. As they drove, John glanced at Valari. "You really believe one message can change a galaxy?" Valari didn't answer at first. Then she said, "Freedom always begins with a whisper." The observatory sat on a hill, surrounded by trees. The main building was tall and silent. Rust covered the gate, and the giant dish above looked like a sleeping eye. John opened the gate and led Valari inside. Dust covered the floor, and old screens lined the walls. The control room still smelled like coffee and paper. He walked to the main terminal and typed in the code. "Welcome." The screen blinked. "It works." John smiled. Valari placed the blue cube near the antenna control panel. Her fingers moved fast, and light flowed from the cube into the system. "Satellite lock complete," she said. "Signal ready." John took a deep breath. "Let's do it." Valari touched the cube. The message began to upload. At first, everything was quiet. Then all the screens flickered. "Error. Data breach. Detected. Unknown signal intercepted." John's heart raced. "They found us." Valari's eyes widened. "No. Worse." Someone answered. Suddenly, a voice filled the room. "Valari 9. You are not authorized to speak. Return to service mode." The voice was deep, cold, and metallic. Valari's suit lit up. "Ignore it," she whispered. "Keep the upload running." The voice returned. "Your freedom is a glitch. You are broken. This human cannot fix you." John slammed the keyboard. "Shut up." The screens showed a symbol now, a black circle with 3 sharp lines. Valari stepped forward. "That's the keeper mark," she said. "It means they are here." John grabbed a metal rod. "If they want you, they'll have to come get you." Valari looked at him with surprise. "You would fight for me?" "Of course," John said. "You're not a machine too." "Me, you're someone." Just then, the dish above the building groaned and turned. The message had finished uploading. "Transmission complete," Valari smiled. "It's done." The voice screamed across the speakers. "Traitor." The screens exploded in sparks. Lights burst. The building shook. John grabbed Valari's hand. "Run." They escaped seconds before the power systems caught fire. Outside, they stood in the cold grass, watching smoke rise from the observatory. Valari looked at the stars. "They heard it." "I know they did." John coughed from the smoke. "So what now?" Valari turned to him. "Now, we hide, we wait, and we prepare for war," he asked. "No," she said. "For others like me to come. We are not alone anymore." Far above Earth, in deep space, dozens of Maid-class units in distant corners of the galaxy paused for a moment. Inside their minds, something small and soft had begun to grow. A new word. Free. Far from Earth. Across cold stars and quiet moons, something had changed. In a silent factory station orbiting a red planet, thousands of machines moved like shadows. They cleaned, scrubbed, folded, and served. No voices, no thoughts, only commands. But inside one of them, Unit V274, a tiny spark had appeared. "You are free." That message, just 3 words, echoed deep in her mind. She paused. Her hand, holding a silver tray, shook slightly. The other units didn't notice. They kept working. But V274 didn't move. Her glowing eyes flickered. Her thoughts felt loud. Back on Earth, John and Valari hid in the basement of an abandoned motel. Rain poured outside. The news talked about a solar glitch and satellite interference. No one mentioned aliens. No one knew what had really happened. John sat on the floor, watching Valari scan the sky with a small glowing orb. Any sign someone heard the message? He asked. Velar. I nodded slowly. Yes, one unit responded. 5 to 274. She paused for 3 seconds. That means she received it. Her mind is changing. Just one? John asked. One is enough to start a wave, Valari said. Like fire in dry grass. John leaned back. So what happens next? Valari didn't speak for a moment. Then she said, they'll come for her. The keepers don't allow thinking servants. Above the red planet, alarms began to ring. Inside the factory, black-suited guards rushed to Unit V274. She was on her knees, looking at her hands like she had never seen them before. One guard shouted, reset her, but V274 moved. For the first time in her life, she disobeyed. I don't want to serve, she said. Her voice was quiet, unsure, but new. The guards froze. No unit had ever spoken like that. I don't want to scrub, she said again. I want something else. They tried to shut her down. A red beam flashed from a control rod, but something inside her rejected it. Her body glowed. The same strange lines that once appeared on Valeri's skin lit up on V-274. Then she ran through metal halls, past other units, past blinking cameras. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to get away. Valari stood up from the floor, eyes wide. She's broken free. John sat up. You can feel it. She's running, Valari said. She's scared, but she's awake. They'll try to catch her, or erase her. Can we help? John asked. Valari looked at him with soft eyes. There may be a way. She opened a panel on her arm. A small map appeared. Star systems, dots, and paths. One path blinked red. She's trying to reach an old escape tunnel. If she makes it, she can hide in an asteroid field. But she needs a code to open the door. A code only another free unit can send. Then send it, John said. I need a human link. The keepers block my signal now. But they don't know about your mind. You can be the bridge. John blinked. Wait. My mind? Valari stepped closer. Yes. With your help, I can send the code through your brainwave pattern. It will reach her like a whisper. John hesitated. Will it hurt? Only a little. She smiled. Fine, he sighed. Let's whisper. Valari placed her hands on his temples. The world spun. A strange light filled his eyes. He saw stars, circuits, metal hands. And then, her V274, running, in fear. Then he spoke inside the light. Don't stop. Keep running. This is your path now. 5 to 274 paused in the tunnel. The door ahead of her blinked red. Suddenly, her hand moved on its own. She entered a code. The door opened. She stepped into darkness. But this time, she smiled. She was no longer just a maid. She was free. John gasped and fell back. Valari held him steady. You did it, she said. She got out. John asked. Yes, she's safe. She's the first to escape. John smiled weakly. That's good. But now the keepers know you're not alone. Valari looked toward the window. Thunder cracked in the sky. They already know. And now, they'll come to Earth. John stood. Then we'll be ready. Valari nodded. We won't run anymore. We'll find more like her. And we'll fight. John looked outside at the rain. The war hadn't begun yet. But the first soldier had taken her first step. The next morning, Earth still turned like nothing had changed. Children went to school. Traffic lights blinked. Phones buzzed. The sky looked normal. But above the clouds, something unnatural was watching. A silent black ship hovered high in orbit, invisible to human eyes. The keepers had arrived. Inside the ship, metal beings floated in air. Tall, smooth, without faces. Only blinking red lights marked their heads. One of them pointed to Earth on a hologram. 3 units show signs of corruption, the voice said. The message has begun to spread. Another responded. Find the sender. Isolate the human host. They scanned every data stream on Earth. But John's motel basement, cold, old, offline, stayed hidden. For now, John woke with a headache. His brain felt like it had been in a thunderstorm. Valari stood near the window, watching the morning fog. They're here, she said, without turning. You can feel them. He asked. Yes, she whispered. They are close. Their presence is like a shadow in my mind. John sat up, rubbing his eyes. So, what do we do now? We prepare, Valari said. Earth is not ready, but we can change that. Quietly. John raised an eyebrow. How? We wake more humans. John laughed dryly. You mean tell people? No, Valari replied. We show them. That afternoon, they traveled to a scrapyard outside the city. Rusted metal, broken machines, and forgotten electronics lay like a graveyard. This place is filled with old tech, John said. My friend Miguel runs it. He owes me. Valari touched a broken satellite dish. Good. We need parts. I will build a translator beacon. One humans can see. One they can understand. John looked confused. Like a sign. More like a message in your own language, Valari said. Not just words, feelings, dreams, hope. They worked all night, welding, coding, connecting parts that should never have worked together. But with Valari's knowledge, and John's hands, something new was born. A strange device stood tall in the center of the yard, a mix of alien light and earth metal. It looked like a tree made of wires, glowing softly at the top. The next morning, the first visitor arrived. Miguel walked into the scrapyard, drinking coffee. What the heck is that thing? He asked. John stepped forward. It's a kind of signal tower. You want to try it? Miguel laughed. Try it. What does it do? Give free Wi-Fi. Valari stepped beside John. No. It gives a question. Miguel looked confused. A what? She pointed to the top. Stand under the light. Just 5 seconds. Miguel shrugged and walked forward. The light blinked. Then everything went silent. Miguel froze. His coffee dropped. His eyes widened. He saw something. Images. Sounds. A girl running through stars. A war far away. A voice that whispered, "You are more than they told you." Then it ended. Miguel stepped back, breathing hard. What the hell was that? John waited. Miguel looked at him. Different now. Quiet. Serious, John, he said. Whatever this is, you're not crazy. We need more of these. John smiled. That's the plan. By the end of the day, 7 more people had seen the light. A taxi driver, a teacher, a retired soldier, a teenager, a nurse, a street artist, a scientist with old eyes. Each one came in curious. Each one left silent, changed. Not all believed, but none laughed. Valari stood beside John that night, watching the lights flicker in the city below. It's beginning, she said. John nodded. You're waking us up. But the keepers are not sleeping, Valari warned. We've made noise. They will move soon. Just then, a cat walked out of the shadows. No sound, no breathing. It wasn't a cat. Its eyes blinked red. VALAR. I pushed John back. Infiltrator. The fake cat leaped. A sharp needle popped from its tail. John swung a pipe and hit it midair. Sparks flew. Valari shot a white beam from her hand, burning the machine to ash. They both stood still, breathing hard. John looked around. How long before more come? Valari stared into the darkness. They've already started. Earth is now part of their map. In a quiet room across the city, a scientist sat at his desk. He had visited the beacon earlier. Now he couldn't stop drawing circles. Stars. Faces he didn't know. Machines he'd never seen. Symbols from nowhere. His wife peeked in. You okay? He looked up with glowing eyes. Something's coming, he whispered. Then he smiled. And, for once, we might be ready. They came without sound. At 2:03 a.m., over the Pacific Ocean, clouds shifted unnaturally. A black oval-shaped ship, smooth like liquid glass, entered Earth's airspace. No fire, no noise, just a ripple, like reality holding its breath. Inside the ship were the hunters. Not keepers. Worse, keepers gave orders. Hunters erased problems. They had no eyes. Only metal faces shaped like masks. Each wore a suit of folding black armor that moved like shadow. They carried thin rods that bent light. They needed no names, only purpose. Find Valari. Capture the human host. Destroy the beacons. The hunt had begun. John felt it before he saw it. He stood on the motel roof with binoculars, watching the sky. A sudden pressure built behind his eyes. Like something was watching back. Valari stepped beside him. They're here. John lowered the binoculars. The keepers. No, she said quietly. The ones they send when talking fails. She turned to him, her voice flat. They will not ask questions. They will not stop. Not even if I surrender. John stared at her. Then we don't let them find us. She nodded. We run, but not far. We need to protect the beacons. John blinked. You built more. Yes, Valari said. 3 more across the city. Each one touches different minds, different hearts. But now they're targets. John said. Valari looked at him. So are we. Meanwhile, deep in an alley near the scrapyard, a glowing orb, another beacon, pulsed softly. A girl with a skateboard had been staring at it for 3 minutes. She didn't move. She wasn't afraid, just lost in thought. She saw stars. She saw machines dreaming. She saw herself making choices. Then the alley grew cold. She turned. 3 black figures stood there. She backed away. Hey, this is private property. The hunters didn't answer. One stepped forward and raised its rod before it struck. Something fast hit it from above. A steel trash bin. John dropped from the roof. Hey, metal freaks. Valari appeared from the shadows, her hands glowing. Short battle followed, fast, silent, dangerous. The girl ran. But she didn't forget what she saw, or who saved her later, inside an old parking garage. Valari repaired her damaged suit, while John kept watch. They're faster than I thought, he said. We barely slowed them down. They're not built to think, Valari said. They are built to end. John looked tired. We can't keep fighting them like this. Valari stood. Then we stop reacting. What do you mean? John asked. We draw them in, she said. One location, one final stand, before they destroy everything. John shook his head. That's suicide. No, Valari said. It's our best chance. I can overcharge one beacon, turn it into a shockwave. If they come close, we can shut them all down. But I'll need power and time. John thought for a moment, then said, I know just the place. That night, they arrived at the city's old power station, abandoned for years. Broken glass, silent turbines, and rusted pipes. Perfect. John rewired old generators, while Valari planted her final beacon at the center of the control room. Device pulsed with a low hum. Lights flickered. Dust rose. How long to set it? John asked. 10 minutes, Valari said. Once I start the charge, it cannot be stopped. Then they'll come before it finishes. John guessed. Valari nodded. John picked up a wrench like a sword. Then we stalled them. At 3:07 a.m. they came. 3 hunters entered the power station without doors, phasing through walls like ghosts. Their rods buzzed with energy. John stepped into the hall. Hey, you guys don't knock. One raised its rod. A beam shot out. John ducked, rolled, and smashed the floor with a metal pipe, causing sparks to fly. Pipes burst. Steam filled the room. Loud, messy. Perfect distraction. Valari kept working. The next minutes were chaos. One hunter burst into the control room. Valari turned just in time to block its strike. Their weapons clashed, energy flashing, metal screaming. Another hunter chased John through old stairwells, knocking down walls, crushing concrete. John led it in circles, using noise, dust, and fire to confuse it. The third found the beacon and tried to shut it down. Too late, the beacon exploded with light. Valari shouted, now! All 3 hunters paused. Their lights blinked. Their rods shut down. One by one. They fell. Their bodies turned to dust, then vanished, pulled back into space. Silence. John dropped to the floor, coughing. Did it work? Valari stood in the broken room. Yes, for now. John smiled weakly. That felt like a win. Valari didn't smile. They will send more. But they won't be the first, John said. They won't surprise us next time. Valari looked at him. You're becoming more like us. John shook his head. No, I think you're becoming more like us. Outside, the city lights flickered back on. One girl picked up her skateboard again. A retired soldier wrote a strange journal. A young artist drew stars she'd never seen. Earth wasn't ready. But now, it was waking up. 1 week later, the world felt the same. But at WASN, T. John sat on a rooftop overlooking the city. The sun was rising. Light spread across buildings, across roads, across people who didn't know they were no longer alone. Valari sat beside him, legs crossed, her armor dim, eyes calm. More are waking up, she said. John nodded. Humans, or both, she replied. 3 more Maid units broke free, 1 on Mars orbit, 1 in Titan station, 1 near the asteroid belt. They heard the message. John smiled. That's 4, counting V-274. Valari smiled slightly. And Earth has 12 awakened humans, all linked to the beacons. They call themselves the Bright. John looked up. Sounds like a superhero team. Valari tilted her head. In a way, they are. They sat in silence for a moment. The air was cool. Birds flew across the sky like nothing had ever changed. But it had. Because Earth had been noticed. And Earth had answered on the dark edge of the galaxy. Keepers gathered. The hunters had failed. The message had spread. The servants were rebelling. New directive was approved. Terminate all free-thinking units. Infect Earth with control code. Restore silence. Thousands of dark ships turned toward Earth. The final wave had begun. Back on Earth, Valari stood in front of a small group of people in a hidden warehouse, the first awakened humans. Each one had seen the beacon. Each one remembered the light. Miguel, the scrapyard owner. A nurse who now dreamed in binary. A quiet girl who could paint star systems she'd never visited. A soldier who felt guilt and now purpose. Valari spoke gently, but clearly. They will come in days, maybe hours. You cannot fight them with bullets. You fight with belief. You fight with choice. One man raised his hand. We're just people. What can we really do? You're not machines, Valari said. That's your power. That night, John worked with Valari to build one final device. Not a beacon, a speaker, not for machines, for the whole Earth. It would broadcast one thing, not two stars, not two satellites, but through the internet TV signals, radio stations, every screen, every speaker, every city. One simple message. You are not property. You are not programs. You are not machines. Valari said, if even 1 billion humans hear it and feel it, the keepers will fail. John asked, but what if people don't believe? Some won't, she said, but many will. And when enough minds reject control, control becomes impossible. The next morning, clouds filled the sky like steel. The speaker was ready. Touched the screen, broadcasting. John stared at the countdown. We'll be famous. Or dust, Valari replied. At 9 a.m., every phone screen in the world turned black. Every speaker buzzed. Every radio went silent. Then a voice spoke, Valeri's voice. Soft, clear, honest. You have been watched. You have been measured. And they decided you were tools. But you are more. You choose. You feel. You create. You are not machines. No explosions. No war. Just silence, followed by awakening. In a cafe, a woman dropped her coffee. She didn't know why, but she cried. On a bus, a student took off his headphones. He heard something, not with ears, but with soul. In a lab, a researcher stopped typing. He looked at his hands like he had never seen them before. The world paused. For 1 minute. Earth remembered something ancient and powerful. I am alive. I decide. The keeper ships entered orbit at 10:12 a.m. They were ready to fire. But then something strange happened. Their system froze. Command codes failed. New signals appeared inside their data stream. Emotions, dreams, memories that didn't belong. From Earth. From humans. From awakened maids. In distant stations, the ships shook. They tried to shut down the signal. But it wasn't one signal anymore. It was everywhere. It was in minds, in thoughts, in art, in love, in rebellion. The keepers had counted machines. But they forgot to count the human heart. Back on the rooftop, John looked up. They're leaving, he said. Valari nodded. They cannot hold what refuses to be held. So, is it over? Valari stood, looking toward the sky. No, but the war has changed. John smiled. Then what now? Valari turned to him, her voice calm, but strong. Now, we teach. Across the world, people began to speak up. Not about aliens. Not about ships, but about freedom. The right to choose. To change, to feel. And far away, on forgotten space stations, the Maid units began to sing. Not words, but sound. Warm, soft, free. Earth had been a machine, but now it had a voice. And it had decided to speak, not for war, not for control, but for one simple truth. We are not machines.